Hi everyone, welcome to the video for the new moon in Scorpio. This slide is a little bit more colourful than usual because it happens to be that the new moon in Scorpio date coincides with a couple of celebrations around the world. So this date, 1st of November, is actually the day after Halloween, and it coincides with the Mexican Day of the Dead, the Dia de los Muertos, which I believe is on the 1st of November every year. And it also is a fact that the new moon in Scorpio is the time of the year that the Hindu festival of Diwali is celebrated. So happy Diwali, everyone. I'm not sure if there's a greeting for Dia de los Muertos, but I won't offend anyone by saying the wrong thing. So I think I'll just pay my respects to the dead. Now, Diwali is known as the Festival of Lights because it celebrates the victory of light over darkness, and the lighting of lamps symbolizes this victory. I don't know all that much about Dia de los Muertos other than what I've seen in movies and documentaries, but I have observed candles being lit at the altars, shrines and graves that I've seen. And flowers also feature prominently in both festivals, so it seems to me that this particular date is very auspicious. And even though the two cultures we're talking about are very different and they're honouring very different traditions, this particular dark night is a night where a lot of people are coming together with their families and communities and lighting lamps and candles and adorning sacred spaces with flowers. And the reason I refer to it as a dark night is, of course, because a new moon is a night when there is no moonlight to be seen. Now, I can't explain it, but I'm feeling with both these festivals coinciding that perhaps the rest of us should be joining in some way as well. So perhaps light a candle and bring some flowers in from your garden to place around it, something like that. I know the US elections are coming up soon after this new moon, and I know a lot of people are worried about what impact that might have. So maybe this is a good night to say a prayer for light to prevail over darkness. We can all pray for the outcome that will be for the best and highest good of the world. Now, I've been trying very hard not to get involved in politics, but it is definitely hard to ignore all the tensions that exist in the world right now, and it's not just in the US, obviously. Now, in general terms, new moons are a time to set intentions for what you would like to manifest, and Scorpio is the sign we relate to endings, rebirths, transformations, secrets, mysteries, intensity, and power. So I feel like Scorpio energies can always be expected to be intense, emotional, and impactful. So we'll have to see if there are any shocks coming up with the Scorpio new moon. And so in terms of intentions, maybe it would be good to focus on intentions that are about peace, calm, stability, clarity, groundedness, things like that. Okay, so as always, I'll start with a brief look at the astrology that relates to this new moon, and then I'll take a look at the tarot spread that showed up for this new moon. I like to get these readings out a few days early so people can have an idea of the energies to expect before the actual event. Now, in terms of the video, if you're more of a tarot person, you can skip the astrology section. I do often find the astrology and tarot sections connect with each other, but you don't have to listen to the astrology part if you're not at all interested in that. There will be timestamps for the different sections in the description box. All right, so this is our new moon chart. Now, highlighted in purple are the sun and the moon, and they are conjunct as they always are at a new moon. And in this chart, they're at 9 degrees of Scorpio. In terms of aspects to the full moon, we only have this trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces, which I've highlighted in blue. So a trine is a favourable aspect, and Saturn in Pisces is about a mature, grounded, practical spirituality. And the retrograde means that this is happening more internally. I definitely see this as a good supportive influence, considering we might expect quite a bit of emotional intensity with this being a Scorpio new moon. Now, highlighted in green is an evolving opposition between the two benefic planets. So there's Venus in Sagittarius at the top of the chart and Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at the bottom of the chart. Now, they're both benefic planets, but they're opposing each other. Now, I happen to be an L-plater in astrology, so I just went to look up what that might mean. And what I got is that there might be some challenges to our values and we might need to practice a little temperance because there might be things that we really want to do that we love and are excited by, but with this placement we need to exercise a little bit of restraint. So I guess that's just about applying some brakes if we're feeling the urge to overindulge, overspend, or overcommit to things. And that includes things like financial investments. So just don't get carried away or go overboard with anything. Now, the rest of this chart, I have to admit, is absolutely fascinating to me. And if you look at the chart, that's basically talking about all these other things that I've highlighted in pink. And it's quite funny that I started highlighting in pink, because then it occurred to me that all these planets are all in feminine signs, because the earth and water signs are associated with the feminine polarity in astrology. Now, these 5 planets highlighted in pink are all forming very powerful aspects to each other. Some of them are extremely powerful from the looks of it. So in terms of supportive aspects here, I can see 3 minor grand trines, which I've listed on this slide, and a water grand trine. And you'll spot all of those if you follow all the blue lines in this chart. Now, the big triangle in blue is the water grand trine, and it involves Neptune retrograde in Pisces, Mercury in Scorpio, and Mars in Cancer. Now, a grand trine means that all of those planets are in the same sign, in the same element, and the planets are aligning and supporting each other beautifully. And because we're talking about the element of water here, we're talking about the strengths of that element, and that would mean we're talking about emotional resilience and intuition. Now, the next thing to point out here is there is a Mars-Pluto opposition bisecting this grand triangle from Mars at 5 o'clock and Pluto at 11 o'clock. And then we've got a Uranus-Mercury opposition also bisecting this grand triangle in a different point, and that is running from Mercury at 1 o'clock to Uranus at 7 o'clock. So the fact that there are these 2 oppositions is actually meaning that there are 2 kite formations in this chart. One of them has Pluto at its apex, so if you have a look at that chart you'll be able to spot it, and the other one has Uranus at its apex. Now, kite formations are special because they feature a grand trine and an opposition. And the fact that there is an opposition in a kite formation means that there is a challenge. In these kite formations, Pluto is much stronger than Mars and Uranus is much stronger than Mercury. And they're actually interesting combinations because Pluto and Uranus can be seen as the more powerful cosmic versions of Mars and Mercury, which are obviously personal planets. But energetically, they can be quite similar. So these oppositions can almost be seen as the cosmic mind challenging the individual mind and the cosmic will challenging the individual will. Now, the other thing about kite formations, though, is that the opposition is always outnumbered by all the favourable aspects that come in from the sextiles and trines. And even though grand trines are supposed to be wonderfully positive, it's actually said that a kite formation can mean more purpose. So the addition of a challenge actually leads to more motivation to use that positive grand trine energy to accomplish something. So, for example, if you have a kite formation in your natal chart, you have the incredible synergy of the grand trine, but the challenge that comes from that opposition means that you will naturally direct that grand trine energy towards dealing with the challenge. On the other hand, if you didn't have the challenge and it was just a lovely grand trine, you might have lovely energy that feels really good, but you don't actually do anything purposeful with it necessarily. And so for that reason, a kite formation is seen as something special. So here it's Pluto and Uranus that are providing the challenges, and they're operating in earth signs. Now, these are both planets that bring change in different ways, and in earth signs, they're trying to change our material reality. These are powerful planets, so I don't see them not getting their way. But this water grand trine will mean we can flow with the changes. Neptune represents spiritual wisdom, Mercury represents our mind, and Mars represents our masculine aspect that takes action. So these are the planets that we're talking about in the water grand trine, and they're being boosted by the strengths of the water element, which would be emotional resilience and intuition. This seems incredible because it's like we can combine mind and spirit and take action with the water sign strengths of emotional resilience and intuition underpinning that. So the challenge here is to transform, and these are the energies that are rising to meet that challenge. Now, closely linked to this is an even rarer formation. As I said before, I'm an L-plater in astrology, so I had to do some research because I was like, there is a rectangle in the middle of this chart. What is a rectangle formation called? So I asked Google, and my answer came back to me. It's called a mystic rectangle, and you'll see it where the two oppositions I just mentioned are framed within a rectangle. So the oppositions are in red, and then the blue lines are forming the rectangle. So with this mystic rectangle, there are two trines, which are the long sides of the rectangles, and they are running from Uranus to Pluto and from Mars to Mercury. And there are also two sextiles, which are the short sides of the rectangle, so they run from Uranus to Mars and from Pluto to Mercury. So again, in this arrangement, the favourable aspects outnumber the two oppositions. Now, as I said earlier, the oppositions are the more powerful cosmic energies against their less powerful individual equivalents. So you would expect these outer planets to be getting their way. Now, the two outer planets are in a trine in earth signs, and the two personal planets are in a trine in water signs. But each of those outer planets is supporting the personal planet that the other one is opposing through a sextile. And this is again why these formations are actually seen as good, because there are forces that are balancing out and moderating the challenges. And I get the impression from both kites and mystic triangles that they are complex and challenging, but also beneficial because the good energies are put to work in addressing and working with the challenging aspects. And I'll say this again, Pluto and Uranus are both changemaker planets working in earth signs, which represent our physical reality. So the challenges they're presenting are meant to activate changes and shifts. And the other two planets, being Mercury and Mars, are about how we'll be thinking and acting in response to those challenges. Another thing I read about the mystic rectangle is that the two oppositions can actually be grounding and stabilizing all the positive trine and sextile flows. So that would also be a good thing. So here in this chart, the mystic rectangle also happens to be associated with the fifth planet, which is highlighted here, and that is Neptune. And that is because there's that minor grand trine between Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. And it almost looks to me like a house shape because of the rectangle, and then you've got this roof that's heading towards Neptune. But when I Googled it, there's no astrological name for a house shape. But it definitely is still significant because Neptune is favourably aspecting every one of those other four planets in this mystic rectangle. And actually, it's also favourably aspecting all the planets in the two kite formations as well. So that seems really profound because Neptune in Pisces is such a spiritual and mystical placement. So we actually have all three of the outer planets heavily involved in this chart. They all have aspects to four other planets when you look at this. And I was just thinking of spider webs, which actually just came up in the last reading I did, because with this kind of sort of formations where everything's connecting to everything else, it's quite spider web-like, isn't it? And also the fact that each of these planets has four connections makes me think of the number 4, which is associated with stability. And this is a Scorpio New Moon as well. And Scorpio, for all its intensity, is actually a fixed sign. So these are all coming through channeling. And I think the reason I'm channeling these things is that I'm supposed to be seeing the stability in this chart. So this is a busy chart. And you've got all these lines traveling all over the place. But when you look closely, there's a lot of stability and symmetry in all of these formations. And so I'm getting the phrase now, order in the chaos, and it's interesting to channel that. So I feel like Spirit wants me to share that even if this might feel like a chaotic time in our lives, it's in divine order. And if you could see the big picture, you would know it. So just like this chart where the crazy lines are all over the chart, and then you look at it and you start seeing all these shapes and formations. And look, I just saw a pentagram in there, so you'll get points if you can spot it as well. So wow, wow, wow. No, that's not something I meant to interpret astrologically, but a pentagram is about the 5 elements working together harmoniously. So the 5 elements I'm talking about are the 4 earthly elements and spirit as the 5th element. So this really is spirit wanting to reassure us that everything will be okay. This is about the divine plan, and it will be bringing things into balance and harmony. So even if these energies get chaotic and scary, don't lose faith. Keep trusting that the universe is guiding you to where you're meant to go. So from personal experience, I've been through some rough times in my life where I have just realized that I can only surrender. And in those times, I've actually said out loud to the universe, I trust you. And I don't know why, but saying that out loud has always helped me. I can't explain it. It's almost like the universe hears those words and gives you back some kind of instant reassurance. Don't worry, child. It's going to be okay. So yeah, try that. I trust you. But yeah, that's the end of the astrology section, and we'll be taking a look at the tarot spread next. All right, so this is the spread that showed up for this new moon. I haven't used this particular tarot deck for a collective reading before, but the artwork of this deck does feature a lot of skulls and a lot of beautiful flowers, so it seemed like the perfect deck for this reading, because it does seem to relate to both Dia de los Muertos and the fact that Scorpio is, of course, the sign that relates to the death card in tarot. Anyway, I hope this deck does give us a good reading. If you are interested in the decks that I've used here, they will all be listed in the description box. Now the crystal here is an opalite pyramid. We had blue lace agate come up on one of the oracle cards, but I don't actually own any blue lace agate. But I looked at my crystals, and opalite seemed to match the sort of ethereal feel of the oracle card, so I thought it was the right one for this spread. The card at the bottom of the deck this time is the Ace of Wands, which is about the spark of inspiration or passion, and I see it as cardinal fire energy, which makes me think of Aries energy. With this at the bottom of the deck, we're talking about something that captivates a person's spirit and initiates them to take action on that spark. So this might be happening here at this new moon, or it might be something that has already taken place. And I guess we'll find out as we progress with the reading. In the past position, we have the Seven of Pentacles, which is a card that is about patient, long-term investment that is starting to pay off. So this card has these beautiful violet flowers in bloom, and it's a lovely card. But my eye is being drawn from this card back to the Ace of Wands card, because the thing I'm seeing is that the Seven of Pentacles card only has one type of flower that's blooming, whereas the Ace of Wands has this vibrant mix of different flowers. And that's making me think that whatever has inspired or will inspire this person is going to involve them seeking out experiences that will make their life more vibrant. The Seven of Pentacles is a great card, but the lack of variety in that card is making me feel like maybe this person has led a one-dimensional kind of life. So this might be someone who's worked very hard or built a lot of wealth, but they really haven't experienced much else. And I just had Smell the Roses pop into my head. So this person has not been doing much of that in their life. The first oracle card here is the Netcaster, and it is interesting. It has the message, preparations come to fruition. That could definitely relate to the Seven of Pentacles card, because that card is about results that someone has patiently worked for. But I personally, in this spread, I'm not feeling that it is directly related to that, because to me, the Seven of Pentacles is more about someone who knows that if they do the work, the results will come. So that's the gardener energy. So a gardener tends his garden, and he knows his efforts will be rewarded with flowers and fruit when it's the right season. So the Netcaster is not so much a gardener, he's a fisherman. And unless he's cast his net in a place with a lot of fish, he's not actually guaranteed a catch. So he has to cast his net and wait and hope that he'll get lucky. And even though the message here is preparations come to fruition, this card is not just about preparations and patience like the Seven of Pentacles card is. This card is also, to me, involved or requiring a little bit of luck and divine timing to play a role in it. So what this netcaster is hoping for is not something that he can necessarily achieve on his own. He can do his best to prepare. He can do his work, but then he's got to be patient and hope that luck will favor him. So it looks like to me, whatever this Ace of Wands experience is, it is something like that. It's not just about work. It's requiring an element of luck. So what this person used to do that got them into the Seven of Pentacles position, that was a little different. That was where they put in the effort and they got the result or reward that they were working for. This new experience doesn't have that direct link. So maybe they're putting in effort but not necessarily seeing results, or the results are inconsistent. But as the netcaster message suggests, this person's effort is going to be rewarded because something is coming to fruition. Now, because this has been sort of inconsistent and it's taken time, I'm just feeling like there's been a bit of a standstill period in this person's life. And they may at times have felt like they were just spinning their wheels and not really accomplishing anything. And if they were someone who in the past did accomplish a lot, this standstill period or, inconsistent period would have felt difficult, frustrating, disappointing, things like that. But it has meant that they've had to learn to be patient and accept that this is something where they will just have to keep working on it until they manage to get somewhere with it. And they might also feel perhaps that the reason those results aren't coming is because they need to keep expanding their knowledge base or developing their skills or improving their technique. And that could actually be true as well. So anyway, there's the sense here that this person has kind of accepted this standstill. They're not sure what exactly needs to change, but they're continuing to put in the effort to do good work, to improve the quality of their work, things like that. So they're doing their part and hoping that at some point things will click into place for them. The blue lace agate card here is titled The Butterfly of Nurturing. I was drawn to this deck as well for this spread, and it's because it features butterflies, which also fit with the Scorpio energy of transformation. And this deck actually is one that is about guidance for life change. So I'm glad I did use this deck. The card that came out is Nurturing, and it has the keywords time out, nourishment, and self-care. So this message coming from the deck that is about guidance for life change is making it clear that this period of standstill has also been serving another purpose. So this person has needed to nurture themselves back into a balanced and harmonious state. And I'm thinking that if we're talking about someone who was previously single-minded about doing and achieving and they weren't stopping to smell the roses, this standstill has been about getting them to operate differently. The standstill has been a slowdown in their life. They've had time to rest and relax and do things that are good for their spirit. And that could be anything. Maybe they've had time to get outside in nature, or they've had time to go to museums or live shows or concerts. Maybe they've had time to do some repairs around their home or work in their garden or get creative in some way. Maybe they've had more time for exercise or yoga or meditation. Anyway, whatever they've been getting up to, these activities have been nourishing to their soul. And because it's that butterfly that came out for this person's life change, it's clear that this period of self-nurturing has been a necessary element in their transformation. And the other thing I'm getting is that just from the storyline we've got here, their energy was very masculine in the past because they were working, achieving. And in this period of stillness, their feminine energies have been allowed to come out and play. They've been allowed to become more creative, more receptive, rather than just being busy and active all the time. So this standstill has definitely been bringing their energies into balance in a good way. And that tells me that this period of their life hasn't actually been a waste at all, even if they might have thought that. This period is actually accomplishing something because it's bringing these energies into balance, the masculine and the feminine. Now, the tarot card in the present is the Magician. So that's amazing because that's not a passive energy at all. The magician is someone who actively manifests the reality they want. The magician card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith carries the as above, so below message, which is about someone who uses spiritual energy to create in the physical. And they also have all the aces in that card, which is telling us that they have the ability to work with the 4 earthly elements to create whatever they wish to create. And the fact that we're talking about all 4 elements tells me that this person has got to a state of balance, because obviously there are 2 masculine elements and 2 feminine elements. So I'm getting 2 messages from the magician card being here. One is that the stillness period is over and it has done what it needed to do. It's brought this person into balance energetically. The second thing that I'm getting is obviously with magician energy here, this person is now showing up as a powerful manifester. And that's making me wonder if they are still reliant on their luck changing, or if they're now someone who can make their own luck, which is pretty incredible. Now, the artwork in this particular magician card shows the skeleton of a snake, and it's in the shape of a figure 8. Now, snakes are a symbol of transformation because snakes shed their skin as they outgrow them. But the reason it's on this card is because the traditional magician card features an Ouroboros and a lemniscate symbol. So the Ouroboros is the symbol of a snake that's eating its own tail, and it's meant to represent how energies are always transformed and never actually destroyed. The lemniscate symbol is where this figure 8 shape is coming from. It's the same as the infinity symbol, which is also about an infinite flow. So the image of the snake skeleton in the lemniscate shape is combining these 2 symbols, and it's telling us there is no end or beginning to this energy. There's only movement and transformation. So with this snake Ouroboros energy, I feel like this person is definitely changing form here at this point in their journey. Their energy is changing form. And even the fact that this is the skeleton of a snake rather than a snake kind of amplifies that death energy in this card. And so that would also give us the message that this person is experiencing some kind of rebirth here. And at this point, things get interesting because obviously the oracle cards get pulled first, and I was guided to use the priestess deck for the 3rd oracle card. And then when I got the tarot cards out, we ended up with the high priestess as the 3rd card in the future position. Now, high priestess energy is about someone who has a strong spiritual connection and is very psychic and intuitive. The oracle card is titled Sacred Purpose, with the keywords Eternal Flame and Ancestral Legacy. So that makes me feel like we're talking about someone coming into their spiritual powers, and that these spiritual powers are almost like their birthright. So this is meant to be a collective reading for this new moon, but I suppose you're only going to be guided to this, watching this reading if you're guided to watch it. So if you are watching this reading and it's resonating for you, then it looks like there maybe is a sacred purpose that you were born to fulfill. The words eternal flame remind me of how we had the Ouroboros and lemniscate energies earlier, because they are both symbols that relate to energies that don't end. Well, actually, if I'm being honest, firstly, it reminded me of the song by the Bangles. So maybe that song, Eternal Flame, is meaningful to someone. But anyway, I'll get back to what I was saying. The Ouroboros in particular is about energy being transformed rather than dying. So I feel like with Ouroboros and the words ancestral legacy, they're sort of implying that these spiritual gifts are ancient gifts that have perhaps passed from soul to soul rather than being lost when someone passed away. Now, I've been calling it this person's birthright, but it's also feeling like something that has required them to be initiated and prepared before they could receive it. And that makes me think that perhaps this person has gone through a lot in their life, because initiation makes me feel or makes me think of someone who's been made to face a lot of challenges and tests, and maybe that's been a lifelong process. So this difficult initiation was to test this person's strength, their integrity, their purity, their ability to heal themselves, and maybe even their ability to nourish themselves. So in essence, they've needed to prove that they are a powerful person all on their own before they're considered worthy of receiving these powerful gifts. And maybe all that energy I was channeling at the start, work, do, was to do with those challenges this person was facing. So they had challenges and they really had to push themselves hard to overcome them and accomplish things. And in this most recent time where they've been in this slow down, standstill energy, I'm getting that maybe this was the preparation phase that was following the initiation phase. So the initiation phase ended, and here at the preparation phase was where this person was given a chance to rest and restore and replenish themselves, to get themselves into a state of wholeness so they can actually receive these gifts. So the standstill was to restore them so that they were then strong enough to carry these spiritual powers that they're receiving. And this is reminding me of another reading I did recently, which was about someone being rewarded with a powerful gift because of the purity of their energy. And the reason I'm thinking of that reading is because I believe it also ended with the High Priestess card. So maybe if this reading is resonating for you, you might want to check out that other one. If I can remember to do it, I'll put a link in the comments to that reading so you can click on it. Now, with the snake here and the strong emphasis on feminine energies in both the astrology and tarot spread, I've also been kind of wondering if these powers might come in through Kundalini awakening, because if you don't know what Kundalini awakening is, it's to do with the divine feminine Shakti energy, and they describe it as being like a coiled serpent at the base of the spine. But then when it is activated, it starts to basically uncoil and travel up through the spine, all through all the chakras basically, until it reaches the crown chakra where it meets the divine masculine Shiva energy. And this union of Shiva and Shakti energies at the crown chakra is said to result in a person becoming a powerful and enlightened creator. So as this Kundalini energy rises through the chakras, it heals them, and that means that all of those chakras, those energy centers, begin to function at their highest potential. Now the High Priestess card here, the image does show flowers blooming at the crown, so that does make me think of something happening at the crown. So this could definitely be about a Kundalini awakening. And I guess then the reason for this extended period of rest and replenishment is because the gifts that are coming definitely do need a person to be in a strong and healthy state in order to receive them and to be able to handle them from that point on. I think this reading is done. I did notice some things with the numbers. So there were 2 instances here of consecutive numbers showing up. From the oracle cards, we had 42 and 43. I guess they could be ages. Maybe this is someone who is turning 43. We also have 1 and 2 coming up because we had the Magician and the High Priestess. And of course the Ace of Wands would also be a number 1 card. So the fact that in both cases, the lower numbers on the left, and then it increases as we move to the right, which is obviously how I arrange my spread from past to future. This might also be talking about the significant up-leveling this person is going through, because when you think about it, they're going from seemingly an ordinary person to Magician energy and then on to High Priestess energy. So there's big elevations in their spiritual status. And yeah, so that's all I'm getting from the spread. But wow, what an incredible reading for the Scorpio New Moon. And before I finish, I just also want to say that this actually wasn't an easy reading for me to do. I actually had to rewrite it. Actually, I would be channeling my notes and then it would all just be chaotic. So it was almost like it didn't want to flow smoothly for me. Most of my readings have a really easy kind of flow. I start writing and I don't stop until I'm done, and then I don't have to do any tweaking. It's just then what I present on here. But this one all the way through was kind of stop, start. And there was a lot of times where I was like, go back and look at that again. So maybe, the obvious thing would be to think I wasn't in the best state to channel the message, but this happened so much and there were so many cycles of going over it and going back to it. And so I'm wondering if this might actually be an energy that's relating to someone who's watching this. And there's some part of their life where they keep going back over things and looking at things over and over again to see what they missed. And if that is what's going on, then I hope that whoever this person is, they do manage to find the detail or the missing piece that they're looking for. All right, so that concludes this video. As I said earlier, the decks will be listed in the description box. The thing I do need to let you know about is that some of these decks will have Amazon links next to them, and those links will take you to the Amazon site that's appropriate for where you live. And if you do happen to purchase a deck after using the link that I've shared, I might be eligible for a small commission. That won't affect the price you pay or any shipping deals that you're entitled to. So I just needed to let you know. I think the other thing that's relevant there is that I think the link's only active for 24 hours unless your item gets added to the cart. So if you're thinking about it and you would like to use my link to buy a deck, maybe just add the deck to your cart while you're thinking about it, and then you can always remove it if you change your mind or you find a better deal on it somewhere else. Now, there are some extra details in the description box under the deck list just for those who are interested in using those links. If you find yourself watching any of my older videos, I've also updated them, so you'll be able to find the list of decks and links in the description box for those videos as well. Now, if you're still here after all that, thank you for sticking around and watching this video. If you have enjoyed this video and you would like to support my work, please give this video a like, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in supporting me on Facebook, that little thumbnail image on the right shows you what my blog page looks like. And a big thank you to everyone who is already subscribed. It's really lovely to have your support as I try to grow this channel. And that's it, everyone. I hope to see you all at another reading. Take care. I hope this new moon isn't too intense for you. All right, bye.